All right, welcome back, friends. We are being joined in this broadcast by Israel's ambassador to New Delhi, Reuven Azar. Very good noon, Ambassador Azar, and thank you so much for joining us in this broadcast. My first question to you, the last you came on a broadcast with us was about 3-4 days back. Are you closer to achieving your military objectives in the 5-6 days that have passed since?
Absolutely. We have hit very hard the capability of the Iranians to fire ballistic missiles, of about 80%. We have, together with the United States, obliterated a large part of the Iranian's regime military capabilities, but it continues. We still have a way to go, and this operation can take several weeks.
All right. Were you surprised with the manner in which Iran expanded the scope of its missile and drone attacks across the region and not just limiting them to Israel like the last year's 12 days war?
We were assessing that they might want to escalate into a regional kind of war, and they indeed attacked 12 countries with no reason whatsoever, including attacks against civilian targets around the region and in Israel itself. They are aiming at civilian targets very massively.
Right, and you mentioned that many of, almost 80% of your military objectives are achieved. In fact, just a while back, we had statements coming in from the Pentagon that 90% of Iranian missile capacity stands decimated, or rather 90% reduction in Iranian missile attacks. Are we then looking at tapering off of this round of war with Iran?
Well, it's not the same. The fact that we are concentrating on effort, you know, at the beginning we concentrated the effort against the regime's air defenses, then the Air Force, the Navy, and the ballistic missile capability, because that is creating the hardest damage on civilian targets. Now, there are many other targets. There are military targets, and there are targets of this regime that is oppressing the Iranian people. What the United States and Israel want to do is to create a situation in which the Iranian regime that has been oppressing their own people for the last few decades and also terrorizing the region in many ways and creating weapons of mass destruction, that this regime will be weakened, so the Iranian people can embrace the moment and try to bring a change in the regime or a change of the regime, because we don't want to engage ourselves again in a few months or a few years in another military operation. So it is very clear that despite the fact that you know, in negotiations and also through military means, we've been projecting to the regime that will be a hard price for them if they continue their policy. They have continued their policy. And therefore now the military operation is much harsher, it will take more time, and it's intended to change the reality in our region.
Oh, that's a significant statement coming in from you, Ambassador Azar. What you're suggesting is that, if anything, this is going to be a long, drawn-out affair, that you are striking deep and hard. You have upped the game in terms of attacks, because the ultimate objective is to make sure that the present regime does not stay there.
Absolutely. You know, there are two phases here. The first concentration of Israel is to neutralize the existential threats against our country. As you remember very well, Abhishek, the Iranian regime has stated time and again that it wants to annihilate us, that wants to exterminate the state of Israel, that even had a placard in one of the places in Tehran that was counting the time of Israel's existence back. And they had 2 or even 3 programs to implement that: the military nuclear program, the ballistic missile program, and the support for the terror proxies. This was a regime that was actually taking over 4 Arab countries, and thanks to the efforts of Israel in the last 2 years, we have debilitated the regime, but not enough to the extent that it will neutralize the existential threats. They were on a pace to create immunity for these programs by burying them so deep into the ground that even the American forces won't be able to obliterate them. So now we acted before it's too late. And by doing that, we are not only defending ourselves, but we are defending the entire region.
Okay, just a couple of tough questions, Ambassador, if you could take them. First up,
Please.
the IAEA says in the latest report that they do not believe that Iran was any closer to getting a nuclear bomb. So, I mean, how would the United States and Israel together respond to that?
Well, as I said earlier, people have to pay attention. We are not claiming that the Iranians right now were weeks from producing a nuclear weapon. What we are saying is that the Iranians have embarked in a program to move all the capabilities into locations deep underground that would allow them a process of reinstituting, reconstituting all these weapons of mass destruction without any possibility for us or the Americans to intervene. And that's why we had to take action now. Okay, so what we did is not actually in contradiction to what the IAEA is claiming.
All right. My second question is, Ambassador Azar, if regime change is the objective or was the objective, then we are not seeing that happening on the ground in terms of really people coming out and hitting the streets, taking down the present government and its symbols. So we are not seeing any kind of a counter-revolution or protest happening. And it's not just about us. For example, CNN, the American news station, they have sent a team, and their reports suggest that on the ground it seems everyone is just going around or going on with their life, and that there is no suggestion of any counter revolution to the effect that people are going to come out and take the regime off.
Well, first of all, now we are in the midst of a military operation to obliterate military targets, and it's only natural that people will stay put in their homes because nobody wants to put himself in harm's way, and this is not our intention. The question is what is going to happen after we finish the phase of intensive military action. Whether at that point there will be some change coming from the Iranian people. We don't know that. We hope it will happen. We do not intend to invade Iran to make it happen ourselves. We are just giving an opportunity for the Iranian people to embrace this moment and get rid of this oppressive regime that has been killing them in the tens of thousands only a few weeks back. So I think it is in the interest of the regime right now to signal that everything is as usual. Things are not as usual in Iran, believe me, even if you hear it at CNN. It's not the case. I think people are waiting to see what are going to be the results of our operation, and then they're going to make a decision whether they want to engage again against this murderous regime, because, you know, it's not easy to do. When millions of people came out of the streets only a few weeks back, these oppressors didn't blink even, and they killed tens of thousands of them at blank point. So it's not easy to make a revolution or to come with demands to people that are murderers, okay? It's very difficult. I don't envy the Iranian people. I think that they're in a very difficult moment in their history. But now, the United States and Israel are giving them a chance for change. And I hope they embrace it.
Yeah, and the last time, Ambassador, the war went on for 12 days. It's actually called the 12 Days War. It's been 7 days exactly now. How long you think that these operations might go on so that both your military objectives and the regime change objectives are achieved?
President Trump has said that this can take a few weeks. There are still many things we haven't done that we are planning to do. Of course, we are not going to elaborate on this publicly, but we hope that after we finish doing all this set of action that we are taking, as I said before, the reality on the ground will change, and the balance of power between this oppressing regime and the people will change for the better of the latter.
My last question to you, Ambassador Azar. Given the widening of the conflict that happened on the Iranian side or from the Iranian side, you believe that Israel is much stronger now by way of its diplomatic engagements in the wider Middle East region?
Absolutely, and we are feeling that. We are feeling that every day because countries in the region are engaging with us. Some of them are engaging with us openly, some of them are doing it secretly, but everybody understands what is at stake here, especially after the Iranians have gotten into this kind of hysterical mode and started shooting at everybody, okay? So this is something that I think a lot of people understand now how dangerous this regime is and how difficult it is to live in a situation in which such a radical, theocratic, and fanatical regime with weapons of mass destruction, how to live under the shadow of such a situation. For many countries, it was a situation that is really unacceptable, but they didn't have much to do against it. Now, I think everybody is hopeful that once these military capabilities are removed, they will be much safer. And that's thanks to the action of the United States and the actions of Israel that in the last 2 years has been pretty effective in bringing down one by one Iranian proxies. So we didn't finish the job yet. I think that there is much in front of us, but we have the resolve because Israelis don't want to live in fear. We want to live free in our country, and we're going to defend ourselves from the menace of this terrible force, the Iranian regime.
Well, Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us. No war is good, but hopefully if the objectives as intended are achieved, we can look forward to, and the world should look forward to, the possibility of Abraham Accords 2.0 and peace finally prevailing, prosperity coming back to the troubled region of West Asia, as we call it here, or the Middle East for the rest of the world. Thank you so much, Ambassador Azar, for joining us in this broadcast.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Abhishek.